Hey.
It just shut it down. So we'll be up in just a second.
Are we on Facebook though?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody on Facebook. It's your girl Linda here in the studio with the Linda D. Lowe Show Girl Talk. And all those who are joining me on YouTube, thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I am so happy today. Oh my goodness. Really excited. There's a lot going on in the news. Have y'all been following the news lately with the incident that just happened here in Baltimore with the
Courtroom gangs?
Yes. I was I read it today. Just a little not happy that, she was in a straight shootout, basically.
I haven't heard about that one.
You haven't heard about it? So when you get some time, just go research it and read it. And so someone had put out a post, and the post said, basically, so her boyfriend, I guess they were living together, jumped out the window and left her in the house. So took the 1-year-old, jumped out the window, left her in the house. And so there are a few posts on social media that's saying, oh, see, these black men, they get on my nerves. How is he going to leave her like that with the 5-year-old in the apartment? And they going through a shootout. So it came to light that he was trying to basically talk her down and let her know that, hey, you need to get out of, you need to calm down and let's go. So basically he was trying to get her to come with him and calm down. Now, I don't know exactly, obviously she was extremely angry to want to go toe-to-toe with the police. So they're kind of blowing him up and everything, like, oh, these black men get on my nerves. And I saw this one post, one of the ladies that I follow on social media, she posting about black men, and she's talking about, your strength, and basically she's appreciating black men this week. And so a lady commented on her post by saying, I don't have respect for black men anymore because they're letting me down. Wow. And so I mean, this woman, she's just going in. I'm just like, wow. Because now I'm not gonna say that all men are dogs, because all men are not dogs.
No, I don't feel like it's
yeah. All men are not dogs. Yes, you have them sleazy, fleazy busters up out there that really gets on your nerves. But then you got those guys who are just down for their sisters.
Yeah, exactly.
I follow this one guy. I love his posts. Every time I see him post something about black women, I'm just like, yes, Lord Jesus. Okay. So, and I mean, he just encouraged. He's like, man, black women, I love y'all. And I'm like, yo, I feel your passion through every word you speak.
Right.
And so yeah, it's just sad how sometimes, we can go in and just go at each other. And, the talk is now, well, how can we build our black community? And I was just sitting on the side of the bed thinking, like, it's the man against the man, violence there, killing each other. Then we got the sisters against the brothers that's angry at them. And then the sisters against the sisters. Exactly. And it's like, where do we rectify this issue and just come together and begin to build the community that we need for our children?
In the home.
And yeah.
Gotta start in the home.
Yeah, so let's go there, because today's topic is about single and pregnant. Young, single, and pregnant. Mm-hmm. All of us were young, single, and pregnant.
Very true.
So, again, thank you for joining us on radio via the app. If you do not have the app, make sure you download it. You can go to brightradio.com. I'm getting some feedback.
Are you?
Yeah. So you can go to Bright Radio. Yes. You can go to brightradio.com to download the free app. So make sure you go there, get the free app. Today, joining me in the studio Yes, salt and pepper. Okay. So I have Charlene, who is over here to my right. I have Victoria sitting here right beside me, and I have Miss Latoya right here. Did I say Victoria?
Victoria.
What did I say?
Say it.
Okay, because I'm like, wait a minute, Victoria, Latoya, wait. So these ladies are joining me here today in studio, and yes, we are talking about young, single, and pregnant, and we all have an experience to tell. And to just talk about how, how did we make it through, what were we thinking, all that stuff. And my first question is going to be this. I was pregnant at 19. Who was the youngest one in here pregnant? How old were you when you was pregnant?
21.
Okay, 21.
19.
14. So we want to start with you. We want to start with you. What was the feelings that you were going through when you found out that you were pregnant?
When I found out I was pregnant, I was actually happy. Of course, my family was not happy. I did not want to, get rid of my child, but that was the first thing that my family members were telling me, like, at your age, that's what you need to do, and that's what you need to do, and I wasn't trying to hear it. Because I always felt that abortion was wrong, even though I was in the wrong doing what I was doing. I didn't feel that was the solution, and but I was really pressured. I actually even had so pressured by my family that I had an appointment for an abortion, and then the day came, and I was like, I'm not going. I'm not going. So yeah, that's what happened with me, and I don't regret any of it. I don't. I love my daughter to death. She's my only one, not as if like I'm trying to claim bragging rights, but she was my first and only pregnancy. And as I got older, of course at 14, I really wasn't taking Christ seriously. I was raised in the church, but then when I became a teenager, I did my own thing, rebelled, totally away from what I was taught. But if you train them in the way, I was trained in the way that I should go, so I'm going that way. So I'm a testament that, if you do train them in the way that they should go, they're gonna be a prodigal. They may be a prodigal, but they're gonna come back, because I came back. And so now I'm just trying to, raise my daughter. I am happy to say that she's 17 now. She'll be 18. She has never been pregnant. She's not taking boys, so she has other issues, but not the same issues that I have.
So being pregnant at 14 and being part of a church, how did the church receive you?
Well, at the particular point in time when I was pregnant, we didn't have a church home at that moment. My mother was just like visiting, and I had totally abandoned. Like she wouldn't force me to go, so I just didn't go. She would be on prayer lines, and she would go to different services, and at that age, quite frankly, I was just happy I had the house to myself, and she was gone, going to church, like, what to turn up? Well, we didn't say turn up back then, but I don't know what word it was.
Was it crunk? I don't know.
Yeah, crunk, yeah.
And so, okay, again, because I'm thinking, at 14, you were in, 9th grade maybe? 8th grade. And what kind of emotions were you feeling at that time? Did you feel like you were less than? Did you feel as if you couldn't make it? What were the different emotions that were going through your mind?
Of course, in retrospect, I was totally naive. Did not know, what the financial, what it entailed financially, emotionally, to really raise a child, but back then in that state, I was just like, oh, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. It was a naive 14-year-old. And it turned out everything was okay. And a lot of that, big ups to my mom, God rest her soul. She was the best. She supported me in my decision. She said, okay, if this is, well, of course, because she was, she's Christian. She was Christian. and she definitely supported me, and she helped me. I still graduated from high school. I went straight to college. Didn't graduate. I dropped out on my own accord, but you know, she was very instrumental in showing that I got my education, and yeah. So I just was. I guess to answer the question, how was I feeling? Just naive. I just thought that, you know, everything was going to be okay. I'm going to be all right. Mm-hmm. So by the grace of God, I was okay. That labor, though.
Yeah.
That labor.
Thank God for that epidural.
And you know, my epidural, they plug it up to a machine where it drips in, you know, once they put it in the IV, it's dripping in your back. And I had so many people in my room. Somebody's absent-minded mind knocked the plug out of it.
Oh no!
Yeah, so for a while I started feeling, for a long while, for about an hour and a half, I started feeling the contractions, and they was they say, well, the anesthesiologist is in over on another wing of the hospital, and something more.
And so they didn't know they had knocked it out.
Nobody knew for a whole hour, and then when the anesthesiologist came, he was like, this was unplugged. I'm like, all that time. I'm sitting here screaming and in pain. But I needed that, though. That helped me think not twice, 4 times. 4, 5 times.
Lord, I don't want to be back in this situation again. Oh, my goodness. And I definitely understand. You know, I understand that. You know, I hate needles, okay? Hate needles. I was like, you know, I went in the hospital. I went in as a trooper, y'all. Okay, like, yo, I'm going to tuck this thing out. I'm going to push, breathe. I had been in Lamaze class and everything. Okay, and I was like, yo, I'm going to do this. Yo, I got to like 4 centimeters. I was like, okay, I'm going to assume the position. Please give me this needle because this thing.
Yes.
My God. So, Charlene, tell us about your experience growing up. Being pregnant, young, and single, yeah.
It was kind of difficult for me because I grew up the preacher's kid. You know, my dad's a minister, and my mom is the deaconess, and I'm like, mercy. And then the day that I found out that I was pregnant was the day that I opened my letter to Ohio State. I was like, oh. Am I going to tell my parent? I went into that room. And my dad was always like, oh, got the letter. And I'm like, but Daddy, I got to tell you something. My mother was sitting there crocheting on the side of the bed. I was like, I can't go. You know, he gave me a look like, what you mean you can't go? Why? Daddy, I'm pregnant. He liked to hit the floor, like to lost it, and was walking around and huffing and puffing, and I don't understand. And you know, we tried to talk. I said, well, Daddy, you never really talked to me about anything like that. And that's the hard thing when you grow up in a household where your parents are those faithful churchgoers, Ellen G. White readers, and child guidance, and they found out that their child is, you know, having sex. Of which they don't talk to you about.
Right.
You know, that was just taboo. I mean, it's to the point we couldn't even wear pants.
Right.
So, I was just like, well, I'm going to keep my baby. I'm not getting rid of my baby. As time went on, once my son Nigel was born, God rest his soul, because he passed when he was 8 years old. You know, my dad just grew was in love with his one and only grandson. Besides my son, you know, it was just my older brother, Charlie. So, you know, once Nigel was born, he was a big deal in the immediate family. And it was hard. As a constant roller coaster in the house. It was, you know, my parenting versus my parents' parenting, and, you know, what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right. So, I mean, my dad got to the point, we just kept going back and forth. He said, well, since you so grown, why don't you get out and go get your own apartment? Me, I fired back. Daddy, you ain't said nothing but a word. 2 weeks later, Charlene and Nigel had their first apartment, 1402 Iverson Street in Oxford Hill, Maryland, Southview. Apartment 102, I was like, we're going to make it, baby, me and you. So, I mean, it was difficult because I didn't know anything about being a parent. I mean, my mom was, you know, she talked to us about the menstrual cycle and stuff like that. But Mom didn't sit down and tell me, baby, well, as your body grows, you know, things are going to change. You know, your body's going to spread. You know, things are going to hurt. You're going to go through certain things. And then to top all of that off, not having my mom talk to me about that, I'm going to tell y'all a funny story to really make y'all laugh. When I went into labor, that morning my mom took me out to Chevy's. We went and had lunch. She took me to PG Hospital to get my final sonogram, which I was grateful for because I was like, okay, we breaking the ice here. She started to show a little. When I went into labor, I walked in there, I was holding my stomach. I said, Mom, my stomach hurting really bad. Left out, went to the bathroom, came back. She on the phone with my aunt Margaret talking. Yeah, well, I think I better bring this girl to the hospital now because, you know, she contracting. And I let her scream. I was like, ooh, man, when that contraction hit me, I'm telling you, all my goals, aspirations, and dreams probably just left me. I was like, Jesus. Woo. My mom grabbed my bag, grabbed my coat, heard the door slam. By the time I waddled from the front door, down the steps to the front door to get in the car, I saw brake lights. Girlfriend drove all the way to Prince George's Community Hospital. Why don't you? Charlene was still standing at 1715. I had to get on the phone, call my sister Jackie. I was like, Jackie, you gotta come get me. Mama that left me. I'm in labor. And she bust me from the house. She sped through Cheverly. Now, you in Cheverly, Maryland, you cannot speed through Cheverly. You don't go over 25. When you go 26, their lights go on. We got chased to the hospital by the police.
Wow.
Oh, man. Jackie had just got her brand new Camry. It was a 19. Girlfriend sped up to the hospital entrance, screamed at the male nurse, scared him. He dropped all his french fries all in the ground. My sister in the backseat of my car, you better get me a wheelchair, man. I'm like, Jackie, can you please just let the man get a wheelchair? I'm holding. All in all, we get to the hospital. My mom is in one triage section with oxygen on because she's hyperventilated.
Wow.
I'm in the next curtain over with the NST, the non-stress test around my belly, tracking the contractions. I look over, I was like, tell my mom, can you pull? When they let her come over, she bawling, crying, and I thought you was in the back, and I got down to the light, and I looked back, and I'm talking, and you're not even. I'm like, you didn't think that I wasn't in the car?
She didn't know you was.
Drove all the way to the hospital. Now this is some stuff you see on the sitcom.
Okay, exactly.
Drove all the way to the hospital, and I wasn't in the car.
Wow. Wow.
After that, you know, life just started to kind of, you know, like I said, take its ups and downs and come together. But I was just thankful that once my dad saw and put his eyes on my son, that it struck a
it
heart
changed things,
chord,
yeah.
you know, because he was like, I got a grandson.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that gave him, with me being the youngest of my dad's 6 kids, I think that gave my dad motivation to, you know, want to sow into him where he feel like I missed the mark and, you know, didn't, you know, follow God's word as he had planned for my life.
Yeah. And how did the church receive you?
I had some that talked about me. The deaconess daughter's pregnant and, you know, just made me feel like crap. But I had one, or two, that really pulled for me. And that was Sister Doris Harris and my family. And it was hurtful. I'm sorry I get emotional, but
Yeah,
it's hard
it can be tough when
people in the church
turn
on you. And
as
I see the church as a hospital.
Right.
You know, I'm wounded. I need help.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm 19. I don't know about raising a baby. You know, it was hard enough for me just trying to figure out how to break the boy's latch. I'm bringing for the nurse, and the boy's stuck on my breast, and I can't get him off. You know, it's just little things like that. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then to have, at that time, the mothers of the church just be like, I ain't fooling with her. But I had one that kept encouraging me, baby, don't leave the church. And I did. I left the church because it was that intense. I left. I was like, I ain't staying here. I can't do this. You know, I'm coming to you, ask you for basic, simple, okay, what do I do? And you all just looking at me like, I need you to get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
It broke my heart. I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
Heartbroken. At the time, you know, the pastor was like extremely strict. I mean, so it's like I felt like I had nobody to turn to.
Right. And you know, I think that the church can really turn some people in a way. Anyway, I should say, they can really turn their back because they don't really know how to deal with it.
Right.
They don't know how to approach it, and they feel like, okay, well, if I just shun them or if I just push them away, then that's how they can deal with it.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their sins.
Yeah.
And this is my thing. I got pregnant at 19 as well. My only thing was that I didn't feel like the church pushed me away. I felt like, honestly, I didn't know. I didn't really care. Mm-hmm. You know, I was pregnant. Honestly, Charlene, for those who don't know out there, Charlene and I still attend the same church, grew up in the same church. And we were like the second wave of girls who got pregnant.
Yeah.
Because there were some who,
before us.
Right. So they had already broke the ice.
Right.
And their stories,
like,
right? So when it got to us, you know, the second wave of girls, because it wasn't just me and Charlene at the time. It was Mish, it was Charlene, and other people, other ladies in our age group that were also pregnant and single. But the ones who came before us, that was in, I would say probably about 10 years before we came about, 14 years before we came about, it was a lot more strict.
Yeah.
And they really got dealt with in a way that
put out.
Put out. Exactly. Yeah.
Leave.
And so when that kind of treatment happens, it really turns people off to the church, and it really begins to plant a seed of anger and bitterness in people, where they feel like, you know what, I don't need this. You want me to leave? I'll leave, and I'm okay with that.
That was me.
Yeah, and so, right. Yeah. And so when I, when I got pregnant, I was actually finishing up my first year in college. And I was excited. I was at this school, Virginia State University. I mean, I love Virginia State. It's my first love. Every time I travel down south, I always go past Virginia State University. I will pull off on the exit and just drive by, like, man, I remember when I was here. And so I got pregnant literally at the end of my freshman year. And I was in denial for 3 months, y'all. Any of y'all was in denial? Didn't go to the doctors?
No. That was me.
I was in denial, so I didn't go to the doctors for 3 months, okay? And so, and I was skinny at the time.
Oh, let me tell you.
And so, I knew that something was different. But I
it's
just
disturbing when they turn your little Coca-Cola ball into a liter. Or 36 now on a full gallon.
And so I knew something was different, and so I finally was like, you know what? Let me go to the doctors, because there's something wrong with me. My period ain't coming.
Breast all sore.
3 months. 3 months.
Why do I smell that?
3 months, okay? And I went to the doctors. I sat on that table, y'all. Oh, my goodness. All she did was fill my stomach. She was like, oh, yeah, you pregnant. I said, wait a minute. You ain't take no test.
Right. Hold up. Back that up.
Right. How you? And she's like, yeah, the head is right here. Give me your hand. And I wanted to break down on that table.
That's when the fear hits.
Yes. Yeah. When it was
when they
confirmed.
say the words, you're pregnant.
Exactly. And I just wanted to break down on that table, but I just couldn't cry. And all kinds of things are going through my head. The main thing that was going through my mind was that I won't be able to go back to school.
Yeah.
And that I'm letting my family down. Mm-hmm. Because I was the first one. I'm child number 6, and I was the first one to go away to college. So I felt like I was letting my family down. Yeah. And so I went and got in the car. My daughter's dad, he took me. We were still dating at the time. He took me, and I got in the car, and all I could do was start bawling. And he was just sitting there looking at me. I don't remember what he said. I'm sure he probably encouraged me somehow, but I was just bawling. I was like, I'm pregnant. This can't happen to me. I need to go back to school in the fall.
Yeah.
You know, that was my main concern. And I was like, well, how am I going to tell my mom that I'm pregnant? So he drove me home. We went in the house. I sat on the couch. I was like, you know, Mommy, I got something to say. And I couldn't get it out, of course. And I mean, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, how do I say this? And so, you know how you do that? You know,
Like
you
trying to
cry
get it out.
and talking at the same time. So that was me. And I'm like, I'm pregnant. And I'm just bawling out. And I remember the words on Mother. She was like, everything is going to be okay. And when she said those words, I knew that everything was going to be okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I told her, I said, Mommy, I want to go back to school. I said, I want to get my degree. And I want to finish. And she said, everything is going to be okay. And I took that. And like you said, everything turned out to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would I recommend anybody go out and get pregnant? No.
No, indeed. No.
But guess what? If you are, everything's going to be okay. Let's hear from you, Victoria. So tell us, you were 20.
Well, I found out I was pregnant 3 days before my 21st birthday. But I felt like I already knew I was pregnant before I went to the doctor.
Like me.
Yeah, but when I found out, I was nowhere near none of my family. I was in Philly, so I felt lonely.
Oh, wow.
I felt like I was going through it by myself. I still, even though I lived with my baby father, I still felt like a single parent because he technically wasn't claiming her. He wasn't going to the appointments. He wasn't really like helpful. So I felt like I was away from all of my family. I felt lonely and scared. And I felt like I was never going to make it.
Yeah.
And then everything turned out to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I moved back here 5 days before I had my baby. So he wasn't there for the pregnancy. So I went into labor with my mom, her best friend, and my sister. The labor was so hard. First of all, if it wasn't for the epidural, I felt like I wasn't even gonna make it. And then to get the epidural, that part was scary as well.
Yeah. But they like,
So-
you won't be
Exactly.
paralyzed.
Yes.
Don't move.
Exactly. That I
Like,
was
how I gotta breathe? You hold your
I
breath.
still felt like I was moving and everything.
Trying to stay still.
So
with
then-
the moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then it's like when I'm pushing out the baby, that's when I really realized, I'm like, okay, I'm having a baby.
Yeah.
That's when I finally realized it. And then, you know, after you have the baby, they lay you, the baby on you and
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I broke down. So I'm like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Because you feel like you don't know really what love is until you meet your baby for the first, this
Yeah.
little gooey, slant-eyed,
Yeah.
red, pale
Right.
thing, and you're like,
Wrinkly.
I was like, could you clean them up?
Exactly.
That's too much. Could you?
They
Did
didn't
you
clean
clean
her up
them?
or nothing. And then as soon as they laid her on me, she peed.
Yeah.
I just started crying and hold her. I'm like,
My
oh.
mom and my sister were in the room when I delivered my son, and my sister ran into the hallway and ran into a doctor with a hot cup of coffee in his hand. And she was like, I have a nephew! And just pushed him, and his coffee just went
Wow.
all down his scrubs. And I was like, my sister Jackie crazy. I mean, she fell in love with him from that point. And I mean, it's like all that our parents felt prior to, even though, you know, they may have said or not said how uncomfortable or upset they may have been of us for getting pregnant. But once they saw that little person, it's like all that just went out the window.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And my
Because
mom
it
cried.
changes
She
things.
didn't say anything. She just cried and held her grandson. She was like, I got a grandson.
That's what my mom kept saying. She was like, I got another grandbaby. She was like, she was excited. But then it's like, my daughter's only 10 months now. She just turned 10 months on the 21st. And her father just came to meet her like a month ago. So it's like, I'm still having an emotional grab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so how do we deal with that? I would say that my story is extremely different from a lot of single mothers. My daughter's dad is very active in her life. He was there from day one. He's still there, and nothing but love for him from me. Where I know I can get on his nerves. Yes, I can. I can get on his nerves. But I can honestly say that I appreciate him for being the man that he is, and loving his daughter, taking care of his daughter, and going beyond, really. And just seeing him do that over the 14 years now.
Wow, 14.
Right. And him and I are just really getting to the point where we can really, be cordial, where we're not at each other's throat all the time. Because y'all know, in these difficult times, these relationships, these baby days can really make you want to
choke them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I honestly don't know what it's like to have a baby daddy or father of my children around at all. I am the mom of 3. I only have 2 now. Like I said, my son passed away when he was 8 years old, and his dad was never involved in his life. I went to the court. He was 6 weeks old. I filed for child support. He sent his child support. Never came around. No phone calls for birthdays, no holidays, no back to school, nothing. He made sure the money was in the mail. Wanted absolutely nothing to do with his son. Even up until the point, he only came to my son's wake when he died. But he did not attend the funeral. He didn't financially help with the funeral. And 2 months after that, when I went back to work, I was on the green line. I got on the suit and he saw me on the train and he looked at me like I was a ghost. I spoke. How you doing, Walter? He didn't open his mouth. He just had this look and this stare like I was something from, like I was a UFO or something. Even with my daughter Chloe, her father does not call. He just started sending child support. I filed when she was 6 months. She's 5, and we just started getting it maybe 2 months ago. My youngest daughter's dad, he's in prison. He won't come out of prison until she's 26 years old. And he does not want to have a relationship with her. He was very out of that because I don't want her to see me like this. This is not how she should see her father or a man in prison. I don't want this in her mind. So he was like, out of respect for me, I know it's cruddy for me to say it like this, but I don't want to be involved in her life. I can't be active. I can't be there for her. I can't talk to her. So why would I even want her to see me behind? It's a tape. And I sit on this side, you sit on that side, and that's how she's going to know me. He was like, I don't want that. So I'm thankful to God for the men in my church that don't mind stepping in. Her godfather, Phil, has just stepped up, and I'm like, I couldn't ask for a bigger blessing for Chloe and Corey. Even before Corey came along, Phil and Creed have been dynamic godparents to her.
And that's where it comes
hard.
in, that support. And it's so
You
important
need that village.
that we have that village, that we have that support, the people who can come to us and really begin to sow into us, sow into our kids, sow into their lives. Because, again, like I said, I know my story is different from a lot of other women. And so when that dad is not around, to give emotional, physical, or financial support, we had to bond together. So LaToya, tell us, how is it for you dealing with, being a single mom? Was the dad around? How?
No, he wasn't around, but luckily his sister, she stepped in and, helped me with babysitting, if I needed her to go to the school sometime, if I, was taking too much time off of work, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to give out the fire, can you go in my place? She did that. But him, no. He was very, very irresponsible. he was 2 years older than me, but still a teenager, but very irresponsible. And I felt like his mother upheld his irresponsibility. She always had an excuse for him, and then that's why the sister, she knew that about her mother. That's why she would be so, willing to step up, like, in so many words. She can't really outright down her brother, but in so many words, she just was like, pretty much, I know about him, I know about my mother, and so I had her help, and of course my mom and my sister's help.
And she was the father that her brother couldn't be. She was that support that he couldn't be.
She sure was, and I truly thank her for that. Her and I, we still talk, of course, even till this day. We laugh and giggle and everything, and even about old times. And but yeah, I truly thank God for her and my mom, my sisters. I have 2 sisters. And cousins, aunts, everybody, just like she
Praise
said.
God for family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Family, friends, and how they just, come in. And again, like you were, the observation that you made about your dad and when Nigel was born is the fact that babies begin to change.
Yeah.
Because we begin to look at it differently. And it's nothing like a child that can really bring people together and put smiles on their face. All the issues begin to go out the door because everybody wants to see the baby and everybody wants to hold the baby. When the baby was born, you was no longer relevant.
Right.
Okay?
That's how it was when my first girl was born. Because
it was all about the babies.
Even with having Nigel, I was so bitter because I was like, I got my family, and it was kind of hard with that. But when Chloe was born, I'm sorry. I praise God for her dad's sisters. They stepped up big time. Because she was like, I know my brother ain't, worth nothing. Those were the words she used, but, he has 2 twin sisters and his stepmom. And, there wasn't a time when I needed Pampers, clothing, Christmas, birthdays. They were just on it. And, big props to my sister Sharika. Sharika made sure I had a roof over my head. Because, we went through something when I was 4 months pregnant with her. Her mom kicked me out. And it was like, well, where do I go now? What do I do? And I called his sister in the middle of the night and told her what he did. And I was like, Kelly, I don't believe this. I didn't help this man hold down his mortgage and bills, and this is what you do. And I'm pregnant, I'm carrying your child, and you kick me out. You tell me to pack my things and get out of your house. It was a big slap in the face. But the day before that happened, I prayed and I asked God to get me out of the situation that I got in. It's the first time I ever lived with a man. And after that happened, I said that will be the last time that anybody put me out of anything. And I've maintained and held my own. That was so I'm pregnant with your child and you're putting me out. You're telling me to pack my things and get out of your house. That was a big wake-up call. But I praise God for how my situation has turned even after Chloe. I had another child. Still not wed, still not with the father of the baby. And here I am years later. My girls are 5 and 3. Got a good guy in my life.
Right.
He has no children. But still, my guy, I give you a shout out. This man has stepped up and stepped out. Helping with bills, child care, even took them to their dentist appointments. Just been an amazing man in my life. And I thank God for that because there's not many men that will do that. That don't have children doesn't have children of their own. But I feel like he honestly, deep down, he sees them as his own girls. you know, he's been there since Corey was, I think, 11 months old for first birthdays. I mean, and if you ask my children who their father is, they're not going to say their biological father's name. They're going to say him. And that is just so amazing to me. Because it's hard when you have children and you're not with the father of the baby. You kind of have a fear factor when it comes to dating.
Oh, yeah.
Because you feel like, you know, you're not good enough. Or you think back to that moment when you were in church and the mothers of the church made you feel so low. She's spoiled. I heard the comments. I never said anything. Didn't even go to my own mom. Oh, she's spoiled. She didn't let a man wipe his feet on her. You know, who's going to want to marry her now? You know, she going to have to answer to God for that. God had already forgave me for that. But I did like, our dog told me, follow Matthew 18. If you got all against your brother, go to him. You and that one person, say something. I did. I went me. A young woman went to an older woman, and I said something to her. I let her know how she broke my heart, how I felt. She never once said, well, baby, you broke my heart by doing what you did. She just simply said, you going to go to hell for that. And at that point, I was like, I'm done. Never mind. I don't need church. You know, and I became not angry with the church. I got mad at God for that. Because I was like, oh, why would you let somebody, why would you let this happen to me? You know, not thinking, okay, I made that decision to lay there. You know, so it was just, you know, you can feel so crumbled by, a decision that you made. But I guess they didn't realize, you know, you was young. You were young too. So, you know, tell me some of those things that you went through when you were young so that when I get to a certain age, I won't make the same mistake. And that's the kind of parent I am. I'm a realist with my children. You do this, you're going to get broke down. Why? Because it's not good for you. Why shouldn't you do it? Because it's wrong. Because God does not accept that. Even though my life may not be perfect, God does not accept it. It's not okay, baby. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be better than me.
Exactly. And so that takes us into my next question, because how did you all forgive yourself? Because for me, I think that was one of the hardest things. Because I felt extremely guilty. I knew I was wrong. And I knew that God had forgiven me. But it was like you were saying in terms of those thoughts, like, what man would want to marry me?
Exactly.
Now, granted, my baby daddy wanted to marry me, but I didn't want to marry him. So, but, you know, as when I got out of that relationship, and I got out of the relationship because I was scared. I honestly felt trapped. And school was my life, okay? That was my life. And so when I got pregnant, I was like, no. Now, I never thought of an abortion, but my plan was have the baby and give the baby to him so that he can take care of the baby and I can go back to school. That was my plan.
Because motherhood was not on the top of your list.
Right. Motherhood was not on the top of my list. I had a plan. I was going to graduate in 2004 from undergrad, go to law school, graduate from law school in 3 years, go live in Bethesda in my big home, marry him. I was going to marry him, okay? Drive my Benz, and we was going to have a good life. But children was really never part of that
equation.
And so when Brian over the counting,
right, all of that.
And so when I got pregnant, it changed my whole dynamic, because I was like, you know what? I don't think we can get married, and I quickly exited the relationship. And I said, you know, I just need to be single, because I felt as if I was suffocating. I felt as if he was, I don't know, I just felt trapped. And I was like,
once said, you know, maybe what about His feelings and
I never thought about
how it
his
affects
feelings.
him. And we usually don't. This is happening to me. I'm going to have to do
Exactly.
that.
I was 19. I didn't think about anybody's feelings but
But
mine.
mine, yeah.
I was extremely selfish, and so I did go back to school. I was pregnant, so I returned to school the next fall, and then I took the spring semester off, and I was just like, I have to get out this relationship. I can no longer stay in this relationship, and just I'm not ready. I'm not ready to be a wife. I'm not ready to be. But I already knew that I was. So it was nothing to do about being white. No. Like, no. And it's